All right. Welcome to the Side Action, episode 29 of season 5. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and on Instagram.
And I'm Steve Roberts, aka Action. You can follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
Follow the podcast at Side Action Pod on Twitter and Side Action Podcast on Instagram. So, Action, we're back to reality, back to normal. No more tables, which thank God Vegas took its toll on me this time for the craps tables.
Yeah.
I don't think I told you this on the way. I lost a lot of money at the tables, as you may know. Um, like an idiot. When you left, we were like drinking, Prime and Dempsey and I got some drinks at this bar, watched the end of the games. It was a pretty cool little bar. Where were we in Park
New
MG?
York? Oh, at Park? Okay.
Yeah. And then, I'm like, okay, my flight's at whatever, midnight. Let me just go back to the room at whatever time it was, 9:30, 10, get the stuff, roll out of there. I was a little drunk, Action. What's 400 more dollars? Let's go back to the tables, baby. I lost it in like 7 minutes.
Wow. And that was at Excalibur Saturday night?
That was at Excalibur. So Excalibur got me on the way in and the way out. So you're welcome, Excalibur. They probably got 1,000 of that dollars, like 1,000 of the $2,000. Because I don't know what happened. I don't know, whatever, dude. But so yeah, I mean, broke even on the sports bets. Not great at the craps table, but hey, we had a good time.
Yeah, it was a wonderful time. The pool on Thursday was awesome. I mean, it started out a little chilly, and we thankfully brought some sweaters and long sleeves, and we were warming up. And then, of course, by like 11 o'clock when the sun came out, it was nice. So that was a good time.
Yeah, I had a little sunburn on my ear actually. Was flaking a little bit on the ear. I didn't put the ear. You did the ears. I did I didn't know what I was doing. We also had a great time. I think that for me, the highlight, besides, I do agree, Stadium Swim was probably the best part of the bigger part. And then we tried Venetian on Friday night at the tables. Now, first of all, we should give kudos to prime time Murphy. He had a great week. He almost rolled the numbers. He had a fire bet for us. I think that was at Flamingo on Friday afternoon.
That's right.
And then we went to the Venetian, but I'll skip ahead. In Saturday, he rolled all the numbers, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Can't be having lunch with the family. I gotta go win at the tables. But he rolled all the numbers. That was at New York, right?
Yep.
So good for him. His first time. He was close to doing it at Flamingo, just missed. I was close to doing it. I think it was that morning at Mandalay. I missed the one. I couldn't get the aces out there. But when we went to Venetian, I know you joined late, but finally had a hot table. I mean, I think everybody at the table hit a point.
Yeah.
Went around. We were like, I had 3x money. Prime was like 3.5, 4x. We were standing next to that lady from South Carolina that was just doing the field bet, and she was putting like $1,000 up there and winning, and she had like $6,000 when we were done. That was a fun time. Everybody was going. Plus, I don't know if it's different at other tables. They were packing them in there. There was 20 people at that table.
Yeah, it was a very crowded table. I thought the funniest part about all that was her husband, who kept telling her, no, don't do that. And then she would just keep on winning and doubling her bets. It was great.
It was weird. I mean, she says she kind of had an intuition about the suitors, but
don't we all?
The thing what I was telling Prime that night actually, because I did his method. We were calling it the Murphy method, the way he was coming out, getting the chips out on the table. And then at one point we flipped it and we did the action method, just to get started. I'm like, every method works when people are hitting the numbers. Because I'll tell you right now, I love the Murphy method, but that's what lost me $400 in 7 minutes. Because if you get that $100 on the table and somebody craps out immediately, you don't get anything. Yeah. You're screwed. You just lost $100 in a minute. You know what I mean? So, there's different ways to go. But anyway, we still had a good time. The Venetian was fun, and then overall, it was a good time. And the weather was cool, but it was still beautiful, really sunny out there.
Yeah, very nice weather, indeed.
Yeah. Well, we talk about the basketballs. We're here to talk about action. We've obviously, the first two rounds, really, we were doing a couple fun bets before we get to the specifics of the games. We were hitting that. The first half unders were like dominant. Like we were kicking butt on those. I know I did pretty well, at least the first day. I did less on the second day because we were busy. And then the first to 15 bet, which I heard on VSiN today, was like, I mean, it's all the rage, which is so fun because the whole casino's going nuts when they're putting little money on the dog, and they hit. And the first day I was like 2-1 on that bet. I think the second day I was maybe 1-2, but it's a fun bet, right? And usually profitable because you're getting the plus money on there, plus 190 or plus 145 or whatever if the dog gets to 15. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, some big ones came in on Friday too. It started out with Fairleigh Dickinson against Purdue, and then I think there was a couple more big dogs that hit the first to 15 late in the Friday session.
Yeah, so that was a fun bet. I mean, overall, I thought we did okay. If you look at these, we didn't do great. And again, that was simple. My first day was awesome. What
Same.
happened the second day? Second day, I kind of gave it back. I was up, and it's still up after day 2, but day 3, I kind of gave more money back. But some of our pitches, and we obviously had Furman. We talked about that one. I was on Utah State. You were on Missouri, so good job for you. We had, College of Charleston. They were right there, but I think the Aztecs got a late cover in that game, didn't they? And just kind of throws late.
Yeah, late foul with like 0.7 seconds left that pushed that one over the number.
Right. One of the ones that didn't come in for us, Duke, I had the over in that game against Oral Roberts. That kind of was unfortunate. Oral Roberts really didn't score in that game. One of the better games of the first round was this Memphis FAU game, which in some ways, I mean, it's not going to probably make bad beats on ESPN, but it kind of was. I mean, Memphis up by 1 late, the no timeout call, the refs are looking, they give it the tie-up ball, they give the possession arrow back to FAU, and FAU wins the game. You figure they gets a foul, he hits a free throw or two, they cover the number. So we did predict that team would beat Purdue, or talked about that. So that was a good hit for us.
Yeah, FAU, I think, is going to give Tennessee a game this week, too. I know we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Montana State did not come in. Sorry, Montana State. I rooted for you, but I was wrong. I was very wrong about Kansas State, which we'll talk more later. But Kansas State, I didn't see them playing much this year, to be honest with you. But I just saw how they kind of trended down as the season went on. But this Marquise Noel guy is great. I mean, I love watching him play. It was really fun seeing how he just kind of worked around that Kentucky front line, and it was kind of a story of 2 different styles, but they ended up winning in the run of 32 matchup.
Yeah.
We loved Penn State. That came in, and they actually ended up covering the second game, I believe, didn't they?
They did. Yeah, it was a late 4-point play by Seth Lundy that got them inside the number against Texas. So that was fortuitous indeed.
Yeah. We like Drake. I think we both like Drake, but that was kind of a late collapse in that game. They were up by 7 and basically didn't score the last 3 minutes of the game for Miami to get that win. And then Miami went on to win again against Indiana. So that was a good win for them. Kent State did not come home, but Indiana showed their true colors in the second game. Sorry to your dad and the Hoosier faithful.
No rebounding against Norchad Omier and the Miami Hurricanes. That was pitiful.
Now we liked Arkansas. I liked them both in this game and the Kansas game, so those both came in, which was great. But your handle, except for San Diego State, your handle for your angle on Mountain West teams came true. Northwestern took care of Boise State pretty easily, and then unfortunately VCU did not play that great against St. Mary's for that round. That was a little sad for me. But
yeah, their star player Ace Baldwin went down in the first half, and I think that was all she wrote for VCU.
Yeah, but overall, how did you fare in your sports bets overall? I was basically break even on the weekend.
Yeah, pretty. I think I was about even as well. Big day Thursday, and then I gave some back on Friday. I really was sad that Drake didn't come in because I had them in the final leg of a pretty big parlay. And so that one just told the story for me on the Friday afternoon. And then Saturday was about even. And I did pretty well on Sunday, actually, coming back home. Some Michigan bets came in for me. Inside the state of Michigan, that is.
Actually, I would have been up if I didn't chase Duke twice. When Duke was playing Tennessee and they cut it. I got some plus money line in game in the second half on 2 different occasions. I probably would have been okay without chasing Duke, but whatever.
Yeah, the steam on Duke Saturday was definitely the wrong side.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say, which will kind of lead into the game here in a minute, and I heard the analysis on it, I mean, they just let Tennessee play. And Tennessee's a physical team. They said it was a football game, not a basketball game. And unfortunately, Duke only shot like 11 free throws in the game, even
Mhm.
despite that physical nature. So we'll see if that continues in Madison Square Garden because, they're obviously tough that way. So we look at the Sweet 16 here and kind of lead into the Elite Eight because we don't know the matchup yet. I started off kind of in order of the games, more or less. You've got the East region starting off at Madison Square Garden. You've got Michigan State against Kansas State. Michigan State's a favorite here, which I
Mhm.
guess isn't that surprising because of Izzo and his prowess in March. But metrically, I mean, Kansas State's better, which is, a little surprising. So total 137 and a half. This is tomorrow, Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. If the number I see it's trending down a little bit, maybe to 1.5 at this moment. When I put it was 2. So
Mhm.
I think people are getting the right side for me. Like I was thinking Kansas State, but what's your take on this game?
It's tough. I mean, it's definitely an even matchup. So
Hmm.
you saw that right off the bat with the number open up at Pick'em
Yep.
on Sunday night. And it was pretty clear that the early money was going towards Michigan State because bettors pushed this up to 2. And I think I lean to Michigan State here. I think that this Kansas State team was overvalued when the seeding came out as a 3
Hmm.
seed. And I still believe that. And so I have a lean to the Spartans here. I think that the last month of the season or so, forgive that game against Ohio State and Chicago. I mean, this team was really on a roll, even despite the 10-point come from behind victory that Iowa put on them in Iowa City. I mean, if outside of that game, I think that Spartans would be a much higher seeded team. So I like the value with them.
Yeah, and it's tough. This is kind of a really, and we didn't talk that much during the season because we didn't have a long season about, usually in the NFL, you pick the side, you pick the spread accurately. That's not true in college basketball. It's
Hmm.
spread
Hmm.
matters. But in
Yeah.
these short spread games, this is pick the winner. I mean, 2 points, sure, or 1.5, you definitely could maybe get inside the number per se if you're Kansas State and not win, but I don't know. It's just tough. The metrics, they're very close in the metrics. I've noted that. I did like what I saw with, like I said, Marquise Lowell was really good. And the other guy's really good too. We'll see what happens. I think it's an in-game situation for me personally. I lean to Kansas State plus the 2 when it's down to 1.5. Now it's just they can lose in a bucket, so I'm not going to bet
Hmm.
that. I'd like to see a bigger number, basically. So, we'll see. Anything on the total here?
No, I'm staying away from the total. I know we didn't mention it at the top, but the unders crushed
All right.
last week. I think
Yeah.
um, I
Yeah,
don't
total of
recall what the final tally was, but it had to be over 60% in full
yeah,
game
unders
unders.
unders the first round I had at 68.75 and the second one 56.25. So, that's an average of 62.5. So you've got 31 of the 31 of the six what's the game, 48 games were under.
Hmm. Hmm.
Under parade. But you saw a little comeback on the overs,
Yeah,
like Friday. It was interesting how it worked. I think the books were trying to figure it out a little bit.
yeah. All
So the
things
second
being equal, I think that overs are going to have the value this week because that was all the discussion in the radio and media is how the unders came in. So I think books are adjusting. Bettors are going to start pushing these numbers down, which is going to give some value to the overside.
right, right. Okay, so on the next game in the region, you've got Florida Atlantic, the 9 seed against Tennessee, the 4. Tennessee's a 5.5 point favorite. It's 130 and a half total. This is at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I just mentioned the referee angle with the Dukies and letting them play. I like getting the points here with the Owls. I think Tennessee's really good. We talked about that. They were ranked number 1 at some point. They kind of, but Rick Barnes, do you trust him to spot? And more importantly, when I look at the actual metrics, I don't know how you look at it, action. You can look at Ken Palm in terms of like, hey, this team's 7 and this team's 21 or whatever they are. I think they're what, 6, they're 6 and 22. But when I compare, I like to total up the offense and the defense together. And when you do that total, which Tennessee's 61 and FAU 63, to me that's a better picture. I understand that Tennessee's dominant on defense, but they're not that good on offense. So, it balances out. FAU's a balanced team, kind of like Duke, of course. They manhandled Duke, but so I would definitely take the points in this matchup.
Yeah, me too. I think this Florida Atlantic team is offensively is going to be unlike anything that Tennessee has seen, at least in their conference games this season, because they can actually shoot it from the outside. And I know we discussed last week how the SEC was so poor at shooting 3-pointers.
Right.
Well, I mean, Florida Atlantic can shoot it. I mean, 36.7% from the outside. And I think that's going to be something that Tennessee hasn't seen recently.
Right. And they played some grown men in Memphis. You know, they played some guys that can be physical. And to be honest with you, we didn't give credit to FDU. We should have mentioned that up the top. You know, Fairleigh Dickinson, obviously, not only did they beat Purdue, they played really good against FAU.
Yeah,
no This doubt. Is an undersized team, but the pressing and the physical nature, maybe it cues them up for this too. We'll see.
And I mean, I think the one advantage that Tennessee has is their offensive rebounding, but
Yes.
FAU actually is really good at defending their backboards. So I think that advantage is negated a little bit in this game. And we can't forget that Tennessee is still without their point guard, Zakai Ziegler. Well, I know I mentioned it last week, and
Yes.
they prevailed in 2 games, but I think that's going to catch up to them eventually, and I expect they're going to lose this week. I like FAU on the money line.
Definitely.
And in my bracket, by the way.
Oh yeah, you got FAU in this one against Tennessee?
You know it. No, I think I had Oral Roberts on the other side in this game.
Okay. There you go. Well, yeah, I forgot to send. Let's mention at the top. Somebody's leading the Wegs pool right now. Somebody.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't
I'm
sure
not
who
sure.
that was.
Action Roberts. He's been up there before. I mean, we don't want to get
That's true.
premature bracketation on you. I would not will that on anybody, only Schwab, but you know, you're also winning the player pool. So we'll see. I mean, we could be celebrating a lot of cash here. So let's go to the West region now. This is played in Las Vegas. I should have said East region, Madison Square Garden, if I didn't say that. West is in Las Vegas. So right back where we were at, you start off. I love these games. Arkansas, the 8 seed against UConn, a 4 seed. UConn is a 4-point favorite in this one, 140-point total. This is at 7:15 Eastern time tomorrow night. Look, Arkansas is trying to make it 3 straight Elite Eights, with different players this time. But I don't know. Sonogo's playing great. I still like the +4 with Arkansas just because, Musselman, I love the lady up in the stands. They showed her plenty on, when they were beating Kansas. But a lot of people feel like UConn could be, they can win the title. So what's your position on this game?
I mean, Connecticut is playing probably at the highest level of any team in this tournament, at least through the first 2 games.
Right.
They played really well in the second half against Iona. I know they were down at halftime, but since that halftime mark, they have been really dominant. Despite starting slow against St. Mary's, they really turned the screws there towards the mid part of the first half. And I think that this is kind of a bad matchup for Arkansas, to be honest with you. I'm not sure that I want to lay 4. I'm kind of hoping to sit on the sides a little bit and see if I can get a better number live with UConn under a bucket or so. But that's my play in this game. I think UConn is going to take out Musselman and the Hogs this week.
I know. We don't want to see him taking his shirt off again.
That's true.
Somebody does. Any idea on the total? I mean, you're saying overs are coming back. This seems like a big total for this game, but, who knows?
Yeah, 139.5 it looks like you could get if you like the over. I don't know. This is a tough one because UConn does play at a little bit slower pace. I know that Arkansas would be happy to get up and down if they can, but I think UConn is going to be looking to make this a half-court game to kind of negate the athleticism that Arkansas brings.
Yeah. Okay. Good take. The other game is the last game of the night. It's 3 Zags against the 2 UCLA. This is UCLA is a 1.5-point favorite now, 145.5 in the total. This is at 9:45 Eastern. Man, this is the game. This is an awesome game. It's a battle for the West Coast. I think I'm not saying the winner of this will win, on Saturday, but I kind of feel like this is the battle for this region right now. UConn could surprise, of course, or Arkansas, but these 2 teams are playing really great. It's kind of battle versus great offense versus great defense. I still just like the UCLA. I know you're going to tell me you like the Zags and you like in your bracket, but this UCLA team, they just get it done, man. I don't know what it is. It's Mick Cronin, and he's grinding those guys to a pulp, but I want to see how they play in the first half. 1.5 just too short for me, but I do like UCLA.
I am going to go to the other side on this one. I was really holding out for a 3 because I saw it tick up to 2.5 at one point this week, and it looks like I probably failed to grab that number because it's now 1.5 everywhere. So I guess I missed that number, but I'll probably still end up on Gonzaga before the game starts because this is, of course, Mark Few is the coach. And if you recall, his former assistant, Tommy Lloyd, went down to Arizona and plays a very similar style. And Arizona had a lot of success against UCLA this season. They, of course, play a more up-tempo style where UCLA likes to grind it down and bring it to a halt. But I think that Gonzaga might actually win out on the tempo battle in this game, and I give them the edge because of that. And I mean, if you add in to all of the injuries that UCLA has experienced lately, they're already without their best defender, and then Singleton got hurt in the game on Saturday as well. I think that Gonzaga is primed for an upset here.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, some would say it's an upset. It is by seed, and obviously the spread. But yeah, going into the season, I'm sure people felt, well, UCLA was pretty well ranked, but we'll see. I still like the under 2, actually 145
Really?
and a half. Tempo aside, unless it's out of hand and UCLA is down big, I don't really see it. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. That's like 70 plus for both teams. It seems a little unlikely unless UCLA can score a will against the Zags.
Ken Palm does project 149. So
wow, interesting.
And it's a battle of the number 1 offense in Gonzaga and the number 2 defense in UCLA. So that's going to be really exciting to watch.
Yeah, exactly. But remember, Action, that UCLA's offense isn't that bad. I know they're number 21.
True.
So,
and Hawkes has been shooting the lights out recently. So
yeah,
Gonzaga's going to have to focus on stopping him.
He's balling. So, okay, we're opposite sides there. Let's line it up again. Okay, so in the South region on Friday, you've got, maybe not as heralded outside of Alabama. You've got San Diego State, the 5 seed. This is played in Louisville, by the way, at the KFC Yum Center. Can you believe that's the name of the stadium? KFC Yum.
Yeah.
So the 5 seed San Diego State is playing against number 1 Alabama. 7.5 point favorite for Alabama, 137 point total. Look, Bama's playing great. They blew out 2 opponents. They play like a number 1 should, right? Just punching them in the face and just making it happen. But this San Diego State team takes away transition, right? They're not going to let Bama run. It's going to have to be the half court. Bama takes some bad shots sometimes. 7.5 is a big number here. I don't like, and I'm not as good as when I do the Wegs index for NFL on point spreads, but when I look at these spreads based on the differential that I'm looking at between Ken Palm and the combination of offense defense, this game should be more like 5.5. So I'm not sure. I think it's a little too inflated for my liking for the Tide.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I like San Diego State in this game. I think they can pull off this game with an outright upset because I believe that there's going to be a lot of variance in this game. I definitely like the spread. I bet 7.5 myself, but I think that if you really want to take a shot in this game, going with the money line is worth a bet here because they defend the 3-point line at a really high clip. I mean, San Diego State is elite at defending the 3, and that's what Alabama likes to do. They shoot threes and then they get to the rim. So
Yes.
I think that the San Diego State team actually matches up really well against them. And then on the other side, San Diego State is going to be happy to take plenty of 3-pointers themselves behind Matt Bradley. And I mean, I think that San Diego State has a shot in this game. I think they're a live dog.
Interesting. Well, but let's talk about the offense. So San Diego State is 70th on offense, right? Alabama's no slouch. They're 3 on defense. They're supposedly better than San Diego State. So, again, this total 137.5, that's probably about right. What's the Ken Palm total?
Let's see. I just flipped to the game center. 138.
Right about there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like your angle. I would probably do what we've talked about in the past, where you take the first half dog. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
because Alabama, they didn't do it in the first two games. I think they were outclassing their opponents, where they kind of adjust and like just go nuclear in the second half. That they've done that before. So, maybe either money line first half. But okay, I'm not going to go all the way on their action. I'm definitely going to take the points, but I don't know if I can go all the way with the money line here. So.
Okay. Right on.
The other game is Princeton, the 15 seed versus the 6 seed Creighton. Creighton's a 10-point favorite here, 140-point total. This is at 9 o'clock. I don't know if I mentioned the first one was 6:30 Eastern. This one's 9 o'clock Eastern. Look, the last two 15 seeds in Oral Roberts and St. Peter's have made the Elite Eight. So, hey, there's an angle. There's a trend. But Creighton's a really good basketball team. I know you're on them to make the Final Four. Is that right?
I am. I have a national titles future ticket on them, and I
Okay.
also have them in our Calcutta.
Nice. So I'm not betting. Well, I might bet. I might just put a little on the money line just because it's plus 370 and the 15.
Okay.
But I don't know about to give an official side. This is, to me, the spread's fine. 10 points is fine. They're much better than, but I don't know, man. And I don't know if I mentioned this as I did text this. Got to give a Blake Peters shout out. I know he's not listening. He went to
Yeah.
Evanston Township. He's a year younger than my daughter, and he's got like 33 points in an NCAA tournament. It's awesome. So I'm sure you're on Creighton here, though, right?
No, actually, I have no bets on this game. I don't think. Let me check. Oh, I lied. I did bet over 140 in this game,
Okay. Over.
which actually looks like is a bad number at this point because there's 138.5 and 139.5 out there if you want to bet that side. I think that the Princeton offense has been electric so far,
Okay.
and Creighton's going to be happy to run too. So I foresee a lot of points in this game. And if your prediction comes true that it's a closer game, I like the over even more because then I think that you're going to see some fouls at the end.
Yeah, I like the over as well. Over, even the 140. So now I'll wait for a better number.
Yeah,
Okay.
it looks like if you're betting at FanDuel, you can get 138.5 right now.
Nice. All right. The last region is the Midwest. That's out of Kansas City. It starts off with Miami, the 5 seed against the 1 seed Houston. Houston's a 7-point favorite in this one, 138-point total. This is Friday at 7:15 Eastern. My thing is, does Miami have enough on offense? I know they're an offensive team, but can they really beat this salty Houston defense? Look, Houston didn't look great. I think it was the first half of the second game. They were much like, we were talking about, was it in Alabama? Who came back in that one? It was
Auburn,
Auburn. Yeah,
their opponent.
yeah, they beat Auburn, but UConn.
Oh
UConn was
yeah,
pushed by
okay.
Ona. It was similar. All of a sudden, in the second half, Houston just put the clamps on Auburn. They scored like 25 points in the second half. They just got totally shut down. So I'm concerned for Miami in this one, even though I like Miami. I talked about them during the season. They have good guards and everything. But I don't know, man. These are some dogs on Houston. I would lay the 7. I know it's probably not very popular for most people because it's a big number, but I would. And but maybe the first half, I'll split it. Maybe like 4-point dogs for Miami in the first half and watch Houston devour them in the second half.
Oh, interesting. So you're going to split and you're going to go both ways. I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong there. I think Houston failed to cover first halves in both the opening round game and the second round.
Right.
So I also agree with you. I like Houston in this game. I think for me, it's the rebounding numbers. Even though Norchad Omier was a beast on the boards against Indiana the other night, I don't think they're going to have that much success against Houston, who is number 4th nationally on offensive rebounding percentage. And on the other side, Miami is going to have a really hard time collecting defensive boards. And that doesn't even account for their porous defense. So I think either Houston's going to score almost every time or they're going to grab a majority of their misses and then score the second chance. So
Right.
I think that Houston gets a lot of points in this game, which probably lends to an over as well at 138.
Yeah. When you're listening to that, it sounds like an over. And Sasser should be a little more healthy. He played well in the second game, but he needs a little more time off for that groin, and then he should be in better shape this one. All right, so both like Houston, but maybe first half for me on Miami. All right, last game in the Sweet 16, we've got Xavier, the 3 seed against 2 Texas. Texas is a 4-point favorite here, 149-point total. This is Friday at 9:45 Eastern, the last game of the round here. On paper, this is it's accurately priced, I think, in terms of the spread, but Texas is balling, bro. I mean, I know that Xavier's played well too, but this defense is a suspect defense for Xavier. And even though I was really kind of wondering if Texas could score, in general, because they can be a kind of an ugly team to watch, they played really well in the first couple rounds. Maybe they haven't played enough competition, but I like Texas on this one. I haven't laid it. I think 4 is probably too big of a number, but I do lean that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think I haven't bet the side in this game either, but I do agree that I think 4 is too many. If I was going to be betting this game, I would look to play it live because I think there's going to be a lot of points in this one, and I would expect to see some runs going back and forth. And you might be able to get Texas at a better number if you're interested in that sort of thing. But I bet this game over 148.5. I
Okay.
think combine, when you look at Xavier's defense, 64th in Ken Palm, and both of these offenses in the top 15, I expect there's going to be a lot of points.
Yeah, for sure. So just to backtrack, if we think, I mean, you're pretty much, so if you're looking at these games, you're thinking Michigan State against Florida Atlantic, or you think Tennessee down? Okay.
I like MSU and Florida Atlantic both to win, definitely.
And you probably would side of Michigan State there, or you go Florida Atlantic on a serious Cinderella run.
Tom Izzo is almost unbeatable in the second game of the weekend. So I would definitely lean to Michigan State in that game.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I would root for those matchups. I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's a cloudy region for sure. The West, and that's the one you picked, Marquette in that region.
I had Marquette in my bracket. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So West region, this is, God, I don't know. I mean, I guess you're saying UConn and the Zags. It could just as easily be Arkansas, UCLA. I still think the winner of that second game is going to come out of this region. I know people love UConn. I think that they'll face, well, we'll see. I mean, Timmy, he rose a level for the Zags in the second half of his second game, but Sonogo could definitely shut him down. But we'll see. I still like the winner of that second game in this region.
And that's UCLA for you, right?
For me,
yeah.
That's in my bracket. I got futures. I mean, we'll see. I mean, Mick Cronin, he's chewing that gum. He's like really tight on the sideline. I mean, in the South region, we're talking about. You think there's going to be an outright winner for San Diego State?
I do. I like SDSU and Creighton. I projected that Bama was going to go down missing 3-pointers, and I still think that there's going to be a game here sooner than later where they're going to get cold and they're going to lose.
Yeah. I don't see it here, but Alabama Creighton seems likely. I think Alabama, but we'll see. You're probably right. They are still young, in a lot of positions. And then Houston, we both have Houston, and we both have Texas. So, do you like Houston? Houston's your champ anyway, right?
Yeah, I like Houston to come out of this region. I think that defense is an animal.
Yeah, so me too. So, for the most part, you're probably sticking with your Final Four, as am I for the most part. You just have Creighton beating San Diego State. So Houston, then Bama instead of me. And then we obviously lost the East region. And then I have UCLA, you have the Zags. You have the Zags beating UConn then?
I think I had the Zags over VCU, to be honest. But yeah.
But I'm saying in this scenario.
Yeah. If they play UConn, I think, I would like Gonzaga in that game as well.
Good. All right, well, that covers this weekend. We've got, 2 more shows now, actually, I believe. We usually do the Final Four preview and final preview, and then we do like a Masters edition that recaps the national championship game and do the Masters. So the countdown's on. What about this weekend? What are you gonna be watching the game somewhere? You got some plans?
Yeah, we're heading down to Indianapolis probably tomorrow or Friday and watch games with the family, and then our niece Emma's baptism on Sunday.
Oh, right. You mentioned that. That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah. How about you?
Kind of an interesting weekend. Definitely be watching games Friday and Saturday. Tomorrow, I had plans, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. So, I'm definitely going to watch games regardless tomorrow. On Sunday, I'm going to play volleyball Saturday morning. On Sunday, one of my buddies is doing this. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, if it's Holy or Holly, but anyway, HOLI, the Indian Color Festival.
Nice.
One of my buddies in Indiana, he's going to have like a feast situation. We're going to try all of the food from Devon Avenue and have to wear tie-dye shirts. We're not going to throw paint powder at each other, which is, I guess, what they do. There's a tradition in the streets of India. But anyway, that'll be fun on Sunday afternoon. I'm also playing volleyball in the evening and still cranking on Wegs pool, like Kermit in that. You ever seen that GIF? He's hammering
Yeah.
away at the
Yeah.
keyboard. That's me making nicknames. Hopefully, you'll still be at the top and
That's right.
won't be collecting money yet. Action, you got to slow down, but we'll see. He's still at the top of the heap.
Yeah, we'll see if I can get a FAU, Creighton, and Gonzaga into the Elite Eight. I'll be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I still have. Let's see, what do I have? I have UCLA, Alabama. I have two. I thought I had a third future in there, but I didn't end up betting. Oh, Texas. That's right. So
Oh,
if
nice.
Texas does upset them, I'm looking pretty good. But
Yeah.
they gotta win this first game anyway. Well, great, man. Well, hey, follow us at Side Action Pod on Twitter. Follow us at Side Action Podcast on Instagram, and follow me at Wexpool on Twitter and on Instagram.
And follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
All right. Well, enjoy it this weekend, and hopefully we'll do better than we did last weekend.